Hey guys, it's me, it's Michael B. Happy Monday night, happy WrestleMania weekend to those who celebrate. Tonight on the show, hopefully we're going to have a bunch of fun. I figured, what a time, since there's not really a lot going on right now, to go back and dig into some Arcade1Up rumors. And pretty much, we have a potential projected rumored lineup of cabs coming out from Arcade1Up in 2023. So I want to take a look at the rumors that are out there, take a look at the cabs, and we can decide whether or not these are fact or fiction. If there's enough evidence to say it's probable this cab is coming out, or is it merely speculation? On top of that, I just talked about WrestleMania, so at some point tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about WrestleMania, and the somewhat even more interesting story is that WWE was technically sold today, and I say technically because it's not really a sale, and I want to get into that because it's real super confusing and what it's going to mean for WWE going forward. And last but not least, Pinball FX put out a bunch of information today, some really exciting news. Pinball FX is coming to Steam, plus we have a absolute legend of a Bally Williams table being released on the new Pinball FX, and best for all of us in the home arcade space, where it's on Steam, we're getting a new cabinet mode, and dear God, I hope it works on the ALP finally. Anyways, we'll talk about all of this tonight. Hopefully you guys have as much fun as I do hanging out with me. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. Alright guys, let me just get the chat back up here so I can say hello to a couple people are here. Brooklyn Menace is here. What's up, Carl? He's talking to somebody else, but Brooklyn Menace, I'm talking to you. What's up, man? Charlie Chuck is here. What's up, Cheesy Monday? Carlo says, hey Andy, how's it going? Ritual Delo's here. Our Stout says, who cares about Arcade1Up? Let's get iArcade's arse in gear. Every time someone says rumors, I think of Fleetwood Mac. It's hard not to, man. Let me clear that. Go up here. Papa Brad, what's happening, brother? Biggie D's Arcade, what's up? I'm having some problem with this app. Everything goes crazy on it lately. Nooner, rumors they're coming out with some stuff. Should be here anytime between now or later. Random One says, what's up, Mike B? Kevin Clausen, we love you, Mike. You are bigger than Michael Jackson. I don't know about that. I'm bigger, maybe physically, because I eat more food. Fast and Furious cab has to be announced soon. Yeah, there's some intrigue to that, and I want to get into that. It's him, Canadian Pimp. I wish. I do got a good pimp walk. Our Stout's here. What's up, peeps? I am so stoked about Arcade1Up failing the look. Yeah, it's not good. Console Fanboy was the one who requested talking about the WWE sale, so that's for you, brother. Stock Jock's here, and a bunch of other people. I'm having some issues with my chat for some reason. I don't know why, but anyways, we will get moving. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is Arcade1Up, and let's get right into it. And I want to share with you guys what's on my screen up here now. So we're talking about Arcade1Up's 2023 lineup, fact or fiction. And the first word that comes from Arcade1Up always is if it's not officially announced, it's not official. So here is the fact, the absolute fact. Let me just share this with you guys now. So up on the screen, we've got coming soon. We've got Pac-Man Deluxe, Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe, Class of 81 Deluxe, and of course the Infinity Game Board. So, by the way, this is the only fact cabs we know about. Now, the weird thing about these cabs, and I'm going to go back to this screen, is that all of these have been announced all the way dating back to CES. We've seen the port data, the bill of lading. They've been in for a while. And several people already have them in their homes, whether it be through the cabs that fell off the truck in California, or you managed to pick them up at Best Buy. But there's still a lot of mystery and intrigue around these cabs because they came into the port, Best Buy's selling them, some fell off the truck. But if you take, well, they're not available on the Canadian sites now, but I released a video about this a couple weeks back, and I talked about it. The Arcade1Up Deluxe cabs, these 3 units, aren't going to be available here in Canada till July, going on August. And a website recently popped up that Louis Chambers shared on the official Arcade1Up fan page. I forget what the name of the webpage was, but it also had listings, the first online listings for the new Arcade1Up Deluxe cabs that stated they would not be available until the same date as Canada, July, August. So what exactly is going on with these Deluxe cabs? It's a very curious case. The curious case of Benjamin Button. Curious case of Arcade1Up Deluxe cabs. No one really knows what's happening. Some people have them, some people don't. There's no news, information from Arcade1Up at all. I wish they had a show where they could update us on what's happening. So I don't know what to say, but these cabs right here, going back to this is the only thing that's officially official this year. So that's what we know. But these were announced originally alongside at least one other cab, and I kind of want to talk about that one now, because here's we get into the rumored releases, and this is where it's going to get interesting. I've kind of talked about this stuff before, but I want to go over it again. So I just want to switch over here now. You guys might remember the official press junction that came out during CES, and I got something going on my mouse I got to fix here. But if you look at what was officially announced, we've also got the Casino-cade, was also one of the other announced items. MK Deluxe, Class of 81, Pac-Man, which you've all seen. But we also had a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe cab, and that's the one everybody's been questioning right now. What happened to Miss Pac-Man? My theory on this, of course, which I've already shared with you guys, is that they didn't want to release two Miss Pac-Man cabs at the exact same time. They were afraid of saturation, so they just went with Class of 81, Pac-Man Deluxe, which is already two Pac-Man cabs, and they went with Mortal Kombat at this time. Console Fanboy with a pretty good question here. Do you know if 1UP will have a show this week to talk about these cabs? Release dates are confusing. I have no idea. I haven't heard from anyone at Arcade1Up. They don't exactly send out PR newsletters to people, creators in the community, so I haven't heard anything. I haven't talked to anybody from Arcade1Up a very long time, and I haven't heard anything from Travis MCP, so I have no information. Hopefully, they do release some news soon, because it's got to be pretty frustrating for the consumers to see all these people going to Best Buy to buy these cabs, but with no idea or answers what's going on from Arcade1Up on when they'll be available to the rest of the public. Is Miss Pac-Man official or not? It was officially announced. That's the thing. Fact is fact, but I go back to this screen here, Justin. I go back to this screen. Nothing's official until it's official. Well, Arcade1Up officially announced this during CES. So, yes, it is official by their own rules. So, I mean, take it for what it is. Miss Pac-Man is, in fact, an official cabinet. So, the only question is why they didn't release it with the other four Deluxe cabs. I've said this before. I think that it was a little too much saturation on Pac-Man titles, specifically Miss Pac-Man. So I don't anticipate it will come out with the first wave of the Deluxe cabinets, but let's be real here. The Deluxe cabinets, realistically, are replacing the Legacy cabinets from the years before. And what happened last year with the Legacy cabinets? We saw early releases of Mortal Kombat, Centipede, the Atari Legacy, and of course, Bandai Namco? Yeah, Bandai Namco, the Pac-Man cab. We didn't see the Miss Pac-Man Legacy cab until much later in the year. That's that black cab they sent out to Cool Toy. Cool Toy did a review of it. And we didn't see the Capcom Legacy cab till later in the year. So, very similar lineup this year, with Atari being replaced by Class of 81. But I do anticipate we will see Miss Pac-Man come out with the second wave of these Legacy Deluxe cabs. So that's my guess on that one. So we know 4 from the lineup this year. Then this is where we start to speculate, and we're going by what we know is coming out. One thing is, we know there's also going to be another Capcom Legacy this year. That's pretty straightforward. It's Arcade1Up. John D works for them. They really like releasing Capcom games, and it's going to be a Street Fighter. We just don't know what it is. So it'll either be another iteration of Street Fighter 2, or maybe they expand the game lineup. There had been some rumors that maybe they would finally look at something from the Third Strike series, or maybe something from the Alpha series. But I guarantee you're getting a Capcom Deluxe cab this year, and it's going to be Street Fighter. And that will come out around the exact same time as Miss Pac-Man will come out. Now, I don't have any fact on that. That's substantiated rumor based on just last year's release. So that's my hunch. That's fiction. That's my hunch, but based on last year's information. Now, the next one is the Atari Legacy or Atari Deluxe cab. I do think they're going to come out with it again this year, but I think it's going to be something a little bit different. Now, if you give me a minute here, I already should have had this up, and I'm sorry I didn't. Let's see if I can find this on their page. And the loudest keyboard in the world, click, click, clicks away. So let me show you guys last year's Atari Legacy cabinet. And just bring this up on screen here. So this is last year's Atari Legacy cabinet. Of course, it had the bad monitor, but Jesus Christ, what a beautiful cabinet. I mean, they had the volcano buttons for the first time. The cabinet had the right art, right shape, light up marquee. I mean, I love this cabinet. There were two things that killed me on this cabinet, and they both involved the screen. One was the fact it had that terrible TN monitor with all the glare. I just couldn't bring myself to buy this one, and unfortunately it never went on sale dirt cheap like Pac-Mania did here, so I didn't have any, reason to go grab it. And the second thing is, much like the Tempest Atari Legacy cabinet, the main game, Centipede, is a vertical-oriented game on a horizontal screen, which is just so friggin' frustrating. So those two screen issues prevented me from buying this awesome cabinet. Now, this year, I think they are going to do an Atari Deluxe cab, but I don't think that it's going to be the same problem they've had in previous years. I think they've learned their lesson, and they're going to go with a cabinet where the marquee game, I think you're going to get the same games, but I think the marquee game this time will make sense for the horizontal monitor. I've asked John D this before, and yeah, we've said this 100 times. The reason why they don't go with a vertical monitor on these cabinets is the majority of the games on them are horizontal. So the argument's always been, go with a horizontal game as the marquee game. There's a couple options that are really big. Of course, you could go with Asteroids, which they've done before, but I think they're going in a different direction this time, and that's Missile Command. And I'll tell you why. And it's a weird one, but I couldn't find it, or I would show you it now. But a while ago, Mike of All Trades put up some kind of throwaway post. I don't know if it was on his Facebook or Twitter. I was looking for it earlier. I couldn't find it. And it was like, throw up the first picture on your camera roll. I don't know why. People do this stuff on Facebook all the time. It's just this engagement type post. They want to get people to send some positivity. So send the first picture on your Facebook roll. And John D responded. And guess what the first picture on his Facebook roll was? It was an actual Missile Command cabinet that he had a picture of. And I asked the question, why would John D have that there? Is he a big Missile Command fan? Like, does he send Missile Command pics to chicks online? I think the reason that was on his camera roll, and the reason he teased it and shared it on Mike of All Trades' post, was because that's the cabinet they're currently researching as the possible marquee title for this year's Atari Legacy or Atari Deluxe cab. That's my guess. No, it won't be Marble Madness. We can't be that lucky. I think this year we're getting an Atari Deluxe based off Missile Command. I think we're getting a Capcom Deluxe based off Street Fighter, some Street Fighter iteration, whether it be, we've seen everything from Big Blue, CE to, Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2. Maybe this time they go with the marquee art is still Street Fighter, but another game in the series. There you go. We're going to get there. We're going to get there, Pop Arcade. Don't worry. We're going to get there. Hold on. I got to get a new mouse. We're going to get there, Pop Arcade. I promise you. It's just going to take a while. I promise you. Ooh, that's a good suggestion too. I love that cabinet. I would be all over a Crystal Castles cabinet. I think it's beautiful. My only problem with it is I don't think it's a big enough name for them to go and sell it. You got to remember with Arcade1Up, it's not, they're not selling to us. They're selling to Walmart. So if Walmart doesn't know what Crystal Castles are, they're probably not going to pick it up. So there you go. Anyways, so that's my guess. We're going to see another wave of these Legacy Deluxe cabs coming out around the same time Yoga Flame and Miss Pac-Man Black came out last year. There's going to be 3 more. Miss Pac-Man we know about. That's fact because it was announced during their CES reveals. That's coming out. What we don't know, but I'm pretty sure about, there's also going to be an Atari one, and there's going to be a Capcom one. The Capcom, going to be Street Fighter, and of course the Atari, I think, based on what I'm saying, is going to be Missile Command, based on that. Now, both of those are in the fiction category. They're merely rumors, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys see them in Arcade1Up's projected lineup for the upcoming year. Yeah, Charlie Chuck, I agree with you. Crystal Castles is a fantastic cab. Beautiful looking cab, great game. I would love to see it be Crystal Castles. So, what about the rest of the year? We know about that. Let's talk about another one we all know about. And I mean, this one's not a surprise at all. It was first broke by P-Dub's Arcade Loft, and thanks to the wonderful people who stole a bunch of cabs from Arcade1Up so we could get the manuals early, we found out about the Fast and the Furious. Now, this is a cab I had heard was rumored from Arcade1Up all the way back in 2022, and I said, nah, there's no way they'll do this. With all the driving games they could potentially release, with all of the driving games they could potentially release, you look at Rush, you look at Cruising, you looked at Daytona, there is no way they would skip all those and go with the Fast and the Furious. But you know what they did? They skipped all those, and they went with the Fast and the Furious. Alright, so I got a comment. Man, I really gotta do something about this mouse. Sorry, guys. Don't care if people have deluxe cabs early, but give us release dates. If stores are getting stock, we should know when these are coming everywhere. Gallagher Guy with a $4.99 super chat. I completely agree. I will say this again. I think it's egregious. These cabs have been released to the public, not the stolen ones, but at retail at Best Buy, and we have no official word on the launch from Arcade1Up. Like, I know I've been super critical of them lately, and I think some of that's really warranted, to be honest. They just did a show. They talked about transparency. They have 2 shows, 2 YouTube shows where they come out and talk to the public. It literally doesn't seem like there's all that much preparation for the shows. It's a live show. I don't know why they just don't come out and be like, hey guys, Arcade1 update here. Guess what? Deluxe cabs, they're only available at Best Buy right now. Here's our release window of when we expect we'll get the rest of them out. This is when you'll be able to pre-order them. Peace, I'm out of here. Arcade1 update done. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Gallagher Guy 88, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it, brother. Good stuff. Anyways, Fast and the Furious is the next driving cab from Arcade1Up, and I'm still a little stunned. That's the one they're going with, but for the people that are excited about it, it's more of a modern racer. It's basically a cruising clone. I know She Lion Gaming actually has a physical one in her arcade. Retro Ralph's a huge fan of this one. He put it as his 5th overall top racing game of all time. I mean, a Cubert, not a Cubert, I got distracted by the chat, but a cruising clone can't be all that bad a thing. I've never played the game personally. I'm not that fast or furious. It's not something for me, but very exciting for people who want another driving cab. This one, let me just bring up the regular thing. Jason M gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Jason M. That's good stuff. And apparently I missed a chat from 19K Fox here. Let's see what 19K community provides the real one update. That's the truth of it. Sad truth of it. You can get more accurate information from some of the people on YouTube sometimes, and it's weird. I mean, the company should. I don't know. I don't even know what to say there. So Fast and the Furious is coming out. Is this fact or fiction? It's a little bit of both, because Arcade1Up haven't officially announced Fast and the Furious. But I mean, it's printed on their manuals. Now, this has happened before. If you remember all the way back to the first wave of cabinets, there were print ads and information in the box about a potential Final Fight cab that was supposed to be launched with Wave 1 that never happened. Even though the print ads were out there, all the information was out there, we never got Final Fight. And the reason for it being, from what I was told, was they couldn't get the retailers to agree to take it on. Retailers wouldn't take Final Fight. They took all the other cabs, but they said, nah, we don't think Final Fight would sell. And it wasn't until the success of their initial launch that the retailers came back and said, yeah, we'll take a chance on it. So, even though this is in the manual and it's printed, and technically it's fact because it's announced by Arcade1Up in the manual, it doesn't mean it's going to come out this year or it's going to come out at all, based on the Final Fight precedent that was set before. Just because there's print material from Arcade1Up about a cabinet doesn't mean necessarily it'll come out, because the retailers still have to agree to actually sell the cabinet. So that's what I will say on that. But guess what, guys? It's already hit the ports. We've already got a bill of lading on it. But this is where this gets interesting. So Fast and the Furious have hit the ports. There's a bill of lading. We know that it's going to be coming soon. We're expecting an announcement from Arcade1Up anytime soon. But what's interesting about Fast and the Furious is apparently there's no FCC information about it. And I don't fully understand this. Like, I'm not as technical with all these guys and understanding what it means, but there's no FCC patent or whatever thrown down, which has something to do with the Wi-Fi. So if it's in the ports and it's going to be announced soon or it's coming out soon, they would have to have that FCC clearance before they could put it out. Unless there's a possibility this cab doesn't have Wi-Fi. And I'll go back to Ridge Racer and I'll ask the honest question. What did Wi-Fi add to Ridge Racer and to the Ridge Racer experience? Did it add anything? I mean, when we heard there was Wi-Fi in Ridge Racer, we were like, cool, we can race against each other, or we can race against other people. But Arcade1Up came out and said, well, you know, it's a little hard to get us to do that. It's a little above our chipset, a little above our availability. So there's a possibility Fast and the Furious does not actually have Wi-Fi. I'm just throwing it out there, because if they didn't do the FCC filing needed to pass like the Wi-Fi requirement, and we know already that Arcade1Up with this technology probably can't do online racing. Did they just scrap Wi-Fi in the cabinet and they're just releasing it as a cabinet? I don't know. Maybe it does have Wi-Fi. Dr. Z, Fast and Furious doesn't have Wi-Fi. It has a 14.4K modem. Maybe. Your Average Gamer says, I'm not worried. Nick, do you know, like, you talked to John, did he tell you anything about this? Did he tell you whether or not Fast and Furious was going to have Wi-Fi? Is it going to have online racing? If you know anything, man, let us know. So anyways, Fast and the Furious, right now, the only thing we know is it's in the ports. There is no FCC filing, so we don't know if there's going to be Wi-Fi. I got a feeling Fast and the Furious is going to come out. Console Kid says, no Wi-Fi, no buy. I'm going to agree with that statement right now. Like, Dragon's Lair was the exception because, I mean, such a beautiful cab. But Sterling Hall says it right here. Even if the cab doesn't have online leaderboards, even if it doesn't have some kind of online play component, whatever you want to call it, just for the potential updates and the connection through the app, the Wi-Fi is so necessary anyways. So, I mean, if I can't automatically update it and I can't, connect it through the app, immediately this cab becomes like a crazy sore spot. So, I'm hoping that FCC notification comes out soon, and I hope this cab has Wi-Fi. I know I'm jumping to conclusions here, but we're going into the rumors. That's what we're doing here. So, A lot of people are saying this, though. Link up cabs. Can you imagine people going to Best Buy being like, yeah, man, I want to buy 4 Fast and the Furious cabs, please. People have asked for it, so maybe that's a possibility that they tried to save a little bit of money, cut out the Wi-Fi, and made the cabs linkable. Question would be, how many games? Not if it's online. You're gonna have to. I'm trying to understand that. So if it's Fast and the Furious, is it possible this is another 1-game cab? Or are you saying there's a bunch of games on this cabinet? That's interesting. Check out Your Average Gamer, guys. He probably has a good idea on what's going on with that Fast and Furious cab. Nick, do a video, man. Give people some info if you got some info. So anyways, that's Fast and the Furious, but I do want to talk about, we know that one's coming out. It's not official till it's official, but I think it's official. So now we're going to get a bit dicey, as if we haven't got dicey enough as it is. Let me just try to find this stuff right here. And this is the one a lot of people have been asking about. Oh, B-Kong, that's a good point. You know, the technology to play linked racing cabs is much easier to pull off than online racing head-to-head. I agree. Maybe that's what they're doing. So anyways, I want to move on to a new cabinet that may be coming out this year. A lot of people thought it was going to be coming out last year. You remember the big GameFly leaks. This is one of the announced cabs for last year that never materialized for whatever reason. It just never came out. But Time Crisis, and a lot of people lost their minds, went out and got bunches of information earlier this year about Time Crisis coming to Arcade1Up. And the big piece that everybody was really amped up about this cabinet. Oh my God, why are you doing that? I don't know what I got done here, but it was the Coleman cooler. Everybody was absolutely shocked by the Coleman cooler in the publicity shot. So, Coleman cooler coming direct from Arcade1Up. Nah, not kidding. So, Time Crisis. And a lot of people were critical about the look of the cabinet. I see people already starting right here. Garage Gamer, what do you mean? Is that real? Do you mean... Oh, hold on now. I gotta get down here. Garage Gamer is saying, wow, is that real? How did you not know about this, Garage Gamer? Yes, that was real. This is when we first got leaked images of the casino-cades before they were officially announced at CES. And, of course, they showed this picture of the Time Crisis cabinet, which someone snuck at this Arcade1Up showing event. So this was the potential Time Crisis cabinet. One of the things about it is we all know Time Crisis has to have a pedal. So we see this little pedal here, and I'm not as critical as everybody else is. I think obviously if they had a coin door on the front, it would make all the difference in the world. As you can see, it's already in a deluxe format with no riser. The one thing I am super critical about is that pedal is the most Fisher Price thing Arcade1Up has done to date. And yes, I've seen I forget what they're even called, like the Paw Patrol and Pac-Man Arcade1Up Juniors. Still, that pedal is the most Fisher Price thing I think I've ever seen from Arcade1Up. Now everybody's asking, what's going on with Time Crisis? Is it still coming out? All signs point to yes. And the only thing is, when is it coming out? And that's the interesting thing. I still think it'll be coming out this year. From what I understand, maybe they're going through a little bit of a retweaking on the design, and I absolutely think that is necessary. Not as much as everybody else. It's going to be a problem with all the deluxe cabs, where you don't have the extra width that the riser provides. The cabinets do look a little toothpicky, and that's been the main complaint people have been making so far. So the cabinets do look a little bit toothpicky with how narrow they are. So I don't think that'll change, but I'm telling you right now, you put a coin door, if coin door with light up buttons on the front of that, you're going to get good feedback from consumers. So This is the other one. I'll show it again. Time Crisis. I think it's real. I think it needs a coin door, and then you're in good shape. That'll be your shooter this year. With Arcade1Up, you can count on a couple things. There's going to be a driver and a shooter annually. We already know the driver's Fast and Furious. Time Crisis was supposed to come out last year. Didn't. We'll get it this year after a slight upgrade. And as Nooner says, cooler prices are overinflated right now, so they're waiting on that to drop. So I don't know when. I would imagine at the end of the year, going on January, is when we can expect to see Time Crisis. So far, there's been nothing else. We don't have port data. We don't have a picture in a manual. There it is. So what about everything else? That's the stuff that's easy. That's all that stuff I talked about so far is the low-hanging fruit. But there's some things that are a little bit more difficult to suss out. One of which is we know we're getting a dedicated 80s cab sometime this year. They said a new 80s cab that was never released before is coming out this year. And that was on the original Arcade 1 update. Sorry for looking up, guys. I'm just trying to find the right video here. I haven't found it yet. Yeah, nope, still haven't found it. There we go. Sorry, I'm the worst, guys. I know. So there it is. I don't know what the hell I just went through. I was on the screen. So from this episode of Arcade 1 Update, I did a reaction video on it. I've talked about this a lot. There was a lot of information in this. One of the things David McIntosh dropped is they're actually releasing an 80s cab at some point this year, one that was never released before. So it led me to speculating, what are they talking about? Now, of course, in my heart of hearts, you guys know what I want it to be. I want it to be Robotron. But I think Robotron 2084, I will say this, it's one of the best arcade games of all time, one of the most iconic. But really, does anybody outside like the super collecting niche and arcade tours and arcade hobby people really know what Robotron 2084 is? Sure, it was in, Robot Ron. The actual grunts from Robotron were in pixels, but other than that, I don't think it's a super well-known game. So more than likely, they're not going to do Robotron. Now, Console Fanboys corrected me. He said early 80s, which is a good point there. So as much as I would love to see Robotron, damn it, I don't think it's going to be Robotron. That makes me real sad, but I hope, because it is a perfect arcade game. Love Robotron. So I don't think it's going to be that. But one that has piqued my interest as a possibility is in the last little while, they tried something that was an experiment as a partycade, and it ended up being one of their best cabs ever. Where this is difficult is that David McIntosh, specifically in this interview, said, this is a cabinet we've never released before. But they did, in partycade format. And they've also released it another time too. So give me a second, guys. I should already have this, but I don't have it. I have some information, but not all of it. I'm a dummy. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, there we go. So that one is Defender. So I'll show you right here. Here is the Wayfair ad for it. They have in fact done it before, but not really. This was merely a skin of the original Mortal Kombat 2 Legacy cabinet with Defender art. A lot of people liked it. Do you remember a while back there was a guy that Arcade1Up was in desperate when they were doing those commercials with like Mike Tyson and the Jabberwockies, and they needed an NBA Jam cab in California stat, and the guy went and gave them his NBA Jam cab. Well, they said, as payment, you can have any cab you want. This is the cab he actually picked from them. He got the Defender Midway Legacy skin cab. So even though David McIntosh said early 80s, we've never done before, there it is, Defender, but I don't think it's going to be this cab again. I don't think it's merely going to be a skin of a Midway Legacy cab. No, I have a weird feeling, yeah, that's not just Canadian prices. That's Wayfair, which I sometimes I don't know if it's a real business. I don't know how they can charge those prices. But I don't think it's going to be merely a Midway legacy so much as I believe it's going to be the Catalina wine mixer. Is there a possibility they do the Defender Partycade? Let me move P-Dub's video forward here. And of course there's an ad, as if there's not enough ads already. So I think maybe, just maybe, they're going to do a proper Defender cabinet, finally, and maybe with the proper controls on the control panel, the proper side art, and maybe take a look at that game lineup that was on the Defender Partycade. Maybe this is the early 80s title they're talking about. You got to remember the way Arcade1Up works, man. Like, everything has to fall in line. It has to be a game people are familiar with, a known name and quantity for retailers to pick it up. Defender kind of has that. Out of arcade games, it's in the top 5 or 6. This I gotta stop this for a second. So, are you gonna glance over the Donkey Kong leak? Do you mean the April Fool's Day leak that's been happening for years? There's no Donkey Kong. If I was doing a video saying Cabs Arcade1Up are never making, there's Donkey Kong. So anyways, I think it's a possibility that 80s cab that David McIntosh discussed is this Defender, is another version of the Defender, but this time with the proper controls and with a very unique game list, not merely a Midway legacy skin. That's my guess. Yeah, that was a good review by P-Dubs. I love this cabinet. It kills me it was never sold here in Canada. I never got my hands on it. It would have been my first and only Partycade, and I would have loved it dearly. But alas, no Defender Partycade for me. I was out of luck. Yeah, Richard Wildello says, just convert the Defender Partycade to a Deluxe cab. I'd be happy. That's 100% what I think they're going to be doing. Papa Brad's Gaming says they need Stargate on it if they do a Defender cab. I don't know if it's that easy. I don't know if they have the license to Stargate. David G says, I love Defender, but Mike, we both know it's Robotron. I wish that was true. Dear God, I wish that was true. Stupid Fat Hobbit says, if I had to make a prediction, I would go with Tetris. You know there's a movie coming out about it. Oh, if people want Tetris, I'm very happy for you, but I would be so disappointed if Arcade1Up did a Tetris. I'd be just like, I don't care. I don't care about this. Like, I maybe I'm the only person that thinks this way. I don't look at Tetris as an arcade game. Like, it doesn't even faze me as an arcade game. I have no interest in Tetris, but it is a big quantity that has mass market appeal. It also has male and female demographic appeal. I don't give a shit about Tetris. A literal shit about Tetris. Will I watch the Tetris movie? Yes. Do I love Tetris on the Game Boy? Yes. Do I care about Tetris Arcade? Not in the slightest. So if it's Tetris, GFY. Oh, you ruined my whole day now because that's actually a real possibility. It's actually Tetris. And David McIntosh also said not previously released. Like, literally, I would puke if it's Tetris. Such a stupid idea. With all the classic and necessary arcade titles, I'd be happy for the people that want Tetris, but what a stupid, stupid title. Hold on, guys. I got something on my optical mouse here. There you go. Kurt the Daring says the exact same thing I'm saying. It's like, I know some people want Contra and Super Contra, but do you remember Contra from the arcade and Super Contra from the arcade? I'm sure some people do. Or is it more of a console game? Let's be real here. Anyways, if it's Tetris, I will throw up. I really hope it's not Tetris. What a stupid move. Maybe. I don't know. It's not Tetris! Travis, you're a lifesaver. I love to hear it. I love to see it. If anybody would know, it's Travis MCP. It's not Tetris. Hallelujah. I need a drink. Free Tetris. Get out of here, MG, with that shit. Anyways, my guess is I think it's the Defender Partycade. That's my guess. Defender Partycade becoming a real cabinet. And if it does, that's an Arcade1Up I would be very interested in getting this coming year, even though I am not currently planning to buy any. I would buy a Robotron. I would also buy a properly done Defender. 100%. Oh God, no. It's Clax. Get that shit out of here. Anyways, guys, so moving on from there, what else do we think's coming out? I don't know if there's going to be much more than that. I think we're going to get some deluxe cabs like we talked about. We're going to get Fast and Furious. We're going to get Time Crisis. We know about this 80s cab. There is one more, and oh my God, no Tetris. No Tetris. So I want to bring this one up. If you tuned into Chillin' Chat last week, you would have heard me talk all about WrestleFest. Now, the reason I bring this up is I know this has been on John D's bucket list from day one. If you ever hear John D on interviews, he'll talk about what excites him in his job. Because I don't know how you guys are at your jobs, but what excites me is doing something new and being something told I can't do, doing something exciting. So one of the things that John constantly was told is you can't get Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so he went out and he got it. You can't get Killer Instinct, so he went out and got it. You can't get NFL Blitz, so he went out and got it. Uh-oh. Console Kits just broke my heart anyways. John D just texted me. It's Tetris. Travis is only the host of updates, not new cabs. That's me. Also, still no NDA. Thank you for the super chat, Console Kits. I appreciate it. So anyways, I wanted to talk about WrestleFest. So the reason why is, so we know this is on John D's radar because he loves doing things that people tell him he can't do. And like I explained last week, there's no more complex friggin' riddle than trying to figure out how to get WrestleFest to Arcade1Up. Now, of course, B. Kong alluded to it on his stream. UAG did a video very early on saying this is a possibility. I don't know if it'll be this year, but there is a possibility Arcade1Up could do a WrestleFest. So that's right now in the total fiction category. But if there is one big release, like you know how they did MVC and Blitz last year towards September, towards the end of the year, if we're getting a big release like that this year, it's going to be WrestleFest. That's my fiction, but that's also what I think. There you go. All right, everybody's bringing it up, so I will say it. Again, I do not understand, other than maybe the emulation difficulty with their chipset, then getting it to work online, why they haven't done Mortal Kombat 4. The free MK4 movement, everybody always brings up these movements about what cabs they want. From a sales perspective and from an arcade history perspective, it just makes so much sense in order for them to just add it on to the Mortal Kombat Deluxe cab. You've got friggin' Paperboy on there, for God's sakes, with the wrong controls. If you don't have enough games, put Mortal Kombat 4 on it. Take Paperboy off. We'll all be super happy for that. Now, another thing about Mortal Kombat 4 I want to bring up, let me just get to this here now. I should have already had this done, but let me bring up this video really quickly because I want to make a point on this one as well. If you go to new arrivals, so I'm just going to bring it up here and show you what I'm doing live. So you go in here, you've got this Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe infomercial. And Cyrus actually says in this infomercial while it's playing that you get, and you can go back and watch it yourself. If you watch it, Cyrus actually says, we have all the Arcade1Up Mortal Kombat games. We have Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. All the arcade Mortal Kombat games. You don't have all the Arcade1Up Mortal Kombat you don't have all the arcade Mortal Kombat games because you don't have MK4. It's not there. So that's a false statement he makes in this ad. I mean, if they made a Paperboy cab, I think people would love it. If they made a Paperboy cab, yeah, I know. I'm actually working on an MG. So my big TV that I have up here where I do this is actually leaving. This is going to become the new TV in my kids' playrooms, and I'm going to get what is it, a Roku stick to go in it because it's an older TV. It's not a smart TV. So I'm just going to jam a Roku stick in it and make it a smart TV. And I'm going to get a smaller TV. Instead of being up here above my eyes, I'll get something and put it to the side. So there you go. So anyways, he did say they have all the Mortal Kombat games. They do not have Mortal Kombat 4. So there it is. Get Mortal Kombat 4. I don't think it's coming this year, though. I don't know what the hold up is. I think more than likely, I don't know if it's a licensing issue. I don't think it's a licensing issue. I think more so it's an emulation issue with MK4. And does Arcade1Up feel they'll get the return on investment for going through the process of doing the emulation on the game and doing the online for the game, doing the actual, putting the money in to the actual software developers to make it happen, compared to the return on investment of how many cabs they'll sell. I think that's the answer there, why it's never happened. But anyways, MK4, I don't know if you'll get a dedicated cab. I hope one day it does come to the MK lineup in some capacity. There you go, Travis. I love this. You want answers? Arcade1 update. Thank you very much, Travis. That's a good one. Anyways, so I think WrestleFest is a possibility. That's the last big of the 3/4 scale. Now, what about the XL and the Pro line? XL hit store shelves last year. Obviously, it had the bad screen. That didn't help it, but we got our first two cabinets, Golden Tee 3D and NBA Jam. And I've done a review on NBA Jam. I love my Golden Tee. The screen absolutely sucks ass, but everything else about those cabs is fantastic. Those cabinets are what Arcade1Up should have always been. And since I've received them, I'm like, you know what? I have a completely different interest now in Arcade1Up. I want XL and Pro going forward. I want the bigger size factor. But it's been a year since we've got any new announcements from XL and Pro. I'd go back to that 1UP Show interview again. I can't remember if he said it, but I don't know if we're going to get it this year. It sounds like they're looking at least doing one XL cab this year. So the question then comes, what is it? I think last year with the XL line, they picked two good sports titles. People would want to have bigger arcades in their homes. I don't know what it could possibly be this year, but I think they should go with a safe bet and go with something very familiar. So you could do, one of the more familiar ones. There was some talk about a Star Wars XL cabinet. Don't think that's going to be this year. I mean, they just re-released Star Wars in the 3/4 scale. It wasn't even deluxe, had a riser. So I don't think we're going to see Star Wars. What I do think is take a look at some of their most popular titles, what actually sells, the stuff that easily goes out the door. You know what I'm talking about. The stuff for the Deluxe and Legacy line. It'll be something from there. It might be a Miss Pac-Man. It might be a Class of 81. Might be a Pac-Man. Might be a Mortal Kombat. Might be a Street Fighter. Might be a Atari cab, but I doubt it because I think that's the lowest selling of the Legacy line. I would say more than likely Bandai Namco, Midway, or Capcom. One of those three cabinets might be the new XL cabinet this year. I think we'll only get one. We'll have to see. Our Stout says, I bet it's a Pac-Man Pro. Maybe. And I will be honest with you, I am hoping they do a Pac-Man XL, because I will happily sell my Pac-Mania cabinet, and I will be first in line to go pick up the Pac-Man XL cab, because I friggin' love Pac-Man. I don't want to buy any more 3/4 scale Pac-Mans, but Jesus Christ, if you make an XL Pac-Man, a big yellow cabinet I can put in my home, I'll be right there to buy it. And I think you would do very well store shelves as well, because you have one of those properties that people just instinctively say, holy shit, Pac-Man, I'd love to have that at my house. It's a good cabinet for casuals, and probably a good way to relaunch the XL line. Last year, you went with sports titles that people would like to have in their barcades at home, man caves. Pac-Man is one everybody would love, so I would love to see a Pac-Man. So, I can answer this one. where is it? Well, I'm not just doing XL. I want just XL and Pro, but like I said earlier, you weren't there for a cornercade. I mean, obviously, if they do a Robotron 2084 cab in Deluxe and 3/4, I'm probably going to buy that. That's a special cab. I would buy that. If they do the Defender cab, that I think there's a possibility they could do, with the, lineup and proper controls like the Defender Partycade, that's a 3/4 scale cab I would want to get. They've already said risers aren't going anywhere. That's what I wanted to bring up. They're not going to kill the non-riser version. Walmart likes to sell them. Walmart likes the cheap shit that flies off the shelves. Bill's 100% right. Those are still going to be in the lineup. Oh my God, I've talked for 51 minutes on this topic. Mike, I'm curious. If you think it is an Street Fighter XL, will it have the same lineup as Big Blue, Shinku, or something new? Console Fanboy, thank you very much for the super chat. That's a loaded question, because I think for people that buy these cabinets and then don't sell off the old ones, they want to see something with more of a new lineup. So it's possible. But me, one of the things I don't like about Big Blue, I didn't like about Big Blue, and I didn't like about Yoga Flame, was the fact that obviously I already have a Street Fighter 2 Legacy Edition. Now all of a sudden I'm getting a second Street Fighter 2 for my arcade. I want to sell off my old Street Fighter 2, but if I do so, I'm losing Final Fight, I'm losing 1944 The Loop Master, and two of those games are absolutely badass. Of course, with the new cab, I'm picking up games I was super excited for, like the Darkstalkers trilogy. There's benefits there, but I really, really friggin' want, I want not to miss out on the old game. So I don't know the right answer there. I think more than likely, it depends. It's a crapshoot. I don't know. It might have the same or a similar game lineup to one of the already released cabs, or it might have the same lineup as this year's new Legacy or Deluxe model. Thank you very much for the super chat, Zohar. I appreciate it. So, I'm not getting all my comments. Here we go. Maybe they'll combine both lineups. I don't think they'll put 24 games on a cab, but Jesus Christ, that would be amazing. Yeah, it kills me that we never got Shinko Hadouken here. I didn't like the Yoga Flames look, and I hate cabs that are creative arts projects with that art on the side that's not realistic. But I mean, that Shinko Hadouken cab, even though it's not arcade authentic, is beautiful. There's no way to, deny that. Street Fighter Cocktail Cabinet had the best lineup. Maybe. Anyways, I talked about all this stuff for way too long, Gus. Jeez. The only other thing is XL Pro. We don't know if we're getting a Pro this year. I don't know if it's 100% possible. Going back to that Arcade1 Update episode again, David McIntosh said they learned a lot of things about the Pro cabs, so I think they have to reevaluate that product and ask the question, is there really enough value when you jump from XL to Pro to justify the higher price point? Maybe the better focus is on making a better XL product, and I kind of hope that's what they do, especially if the controls aren't going to be Pro controls. What's the real reason to upgrade? So anyways, there they go. Thank you, guys. I know it's late, but there were a couple other things I wanted to talk about really quickly. WrestleMania this past weekend. If you're not wrestling fans, I'm very sorry about this, but it was a 2-night event with all kinds of other stuff going on. Night one was actually really good. I don't watch WWF or WWE anymore regularly. Can't bring myself the excruciating pain of watching 3 hours of Monday Night Raw every Monday. SmackDown sometimes can be a little bit better, but I find it very hard to watch. It's a wrestling show that doesn't feature a lot of wrestling. I go back to the Simpsons skit where Lunch Lady Doris is putting the mats through the meat grinder to try to get food. I think it was a Halloween episode, and she was like, there's not a lot of meats in these gym mats. And that's what I think of WWE. It's a wrestling show that doesn't feature a lot of wrestling. 3 hours every Monday night. They have 5 matches, and some of the matches are 3 to 4 minutes. It's a absolute torture to watch, but their pay-per-views are usually pretty good. So night 1, really good. Night 2 started off really good. I mean, Brock Lesnar versus Omos was a match I had no interest in watching, but it ended up being what it should have been. It was a quick match where Omos got a bunch of offense in, and then Brock Lesnar said, "Nah, man, Suplex City, hit the F5. We were out of there. Hot start." It's one of the things I had a problem with in night 1 was Theory going over Cena. It's the only thing I had a problem with from night 1, to be honest. Theory going over Cena really started the mood off for the whole show kind of shitty, because you want a hot start, you want a fun, you get the fans energized, and Theory winning, beating Cena, did the opposite of that. I'm not an expert, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, man, that almost Lesnar started off hot, and then we got the Women's Showcase Tag Team match, and I had zero expectations for this. Absolutely zero expectations, and it ended up overperforming. It shouldn't have been as good as what it was. I'm not saying it was a 5-star match by any categories, but it was pretty good. So then we went into the IC title match, and no flips, no bullshit, no, linked choreographed spots, just a hard-hitting, fun match. Excellent 3-way for the Intercontinental title. Gunther's going to be a star. His body transformation since he's come over from Europe to the WWE is incredible. I love this match. From there, the show kind of went a little bit downhill. I'm going to be honest. Asuka versus Bianca Belair really wasn't very good. I don't know what to say there. It's just not a match I loved. The rest of the show was kind of a mess. Shane McMahon, the funny thing, Shane McMahon has jumped off Hell in the Cell, Titantrons. He's done all these crazy stunts. Miraculously lived to, go another day. But yet he does a leapfrog in his return match. A leapfrog and tears his quad. You can't even write this. You can't even write this shit. So there was that. And then we get to the main event. And everybody was saying, oh yeah, it's going to be Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is predictable. And I was like, well, Vince is back. And it's Roman Reigns. So, there's no question that it's a possibility. What you see, it doesn't make any sense. Everybody's upset because, they're like, if not Cody, who? Who in the hell would you get to pass? But, of course, Roman retains. And I was just like, Roman wins, LOL. Vince is back, LOL. What difference does it make? It doesn't. I will tell you that night 1 card was 100% better, Kong. Kong was actually at the show. I was looking for you. I didn't see you. Both nights during the main event, if you follow John D on Instagram, he actually live streamed from the event. Cool to see that he was there. Night 1 was a million times better. Night 2, that ending was just so flat, so stupid. But it's the same ending they've done for forever. I don't know what the hell is going on with WWE. I would say that Roman Reigns has something on Vince McMahon. He's his illegitimate love child or something. But then I see how poorly Vince actually treats his real life children, and I don't think that matters. I don't know what the hell is going on. But after Montreal and how they didn't want to give Sammy a good story, they didn't want to reward the fans in Montreal. Is anybody really surprised they didn't want to reward the fans at WrestleMania with Cody either? I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, as much as it's unenjoyable and I don't care anymore, they keep making money in spite of themselves. Who am I to judge what they're doing? Obviously, they know what they're doing. They're making money like crazy. They're having the most profitable years when the product, in my opinion, outside of the pay-per-views, which are usually pretty good, is as unwatchable as it ever was. I had some hope when Triple H took over. There were some tweaks. It started to get a little bit more enjoyable, but maybe I'm just being hypercritical now. But with Vince back and saying he's back in creative, making the high-end decisions, I don't have a lot of confidence. Because let's be honest, undercard could be really good, but if you're not investing in the main stories, you're not investing in the brand. So I'm going to go back to not watching WWE. So we get to the point where I want to talk about now WWE, after months of speculation and the reason Vince McMahon returned, was sold today. It was sold to Endeavor Group, which is the parent company for UFC. Now, I say sold, I mean sold, because when Vince McMahon came back, he said, we are going to sell this company and we are going to get maximal shareholder profits. but they didn't really sell the company. That's the thing. Everybody reported it was sold, but I started looking at the sale and I was like, this ain't a sale. Like, it's not. WWE never received cash. There was no cash transaction that actually happened here. It's not a straightforward sale. What actually happened was both companies gave each other both companies, and that's it. It's more of a merger, but it's not a merger in the sense that one company bought out the other company and merged it. It's a merger in the sense that two companies just came together. That's it. Like, two companies came together to form a new private company called NewCo that houses UFC and WWE. Endeavor Group has 51% controlling equity in NewCo, while WWE shareholders have 49%. It's like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Maybe normal business, but it's not a sale. It was never a sale. The way that the shareholders will get paid and the way this works is everything's based on future properties, that this now becomes a $21 billion company organization where it was previously a 6.9, or they're stating 9.3. Anyways, not a sale, a merger where no cash changed hands. They just brought the companies together. What it will mean for WWE going forward? Nothing new. Basically, they're still going to operate as WWE. UFC is going to operate separately as UFC, but what they do now is they pool their resources and they get, is it economies of scope that they can work on, where they have this larger company now so they can get better buy rates for pay-per-views. They can negotiate better deals. They can share resources and have a more efficient overall product. WWE is still going to operate as WWE. UFC is still going to operate separately. The only difference is Vince McMahon is back on the payroll. He's a actual paid person for the company. He's going to be retained as chairman, and he openly stated on the interview today that he's back in creative, but he's not going to get down in the mud and dirt. Like, he's not going to bother himself with the little people like Finn Balor or Ricochet. He's just there to go to the event and say, no one beats Roman. So anyways, there you go. NewCo, that's a terrible name, almost as bad as Alphabet. Well, it's only a business holding name stating NewCo stands for NEW, then capital C-O, so new company. I think they'll change the name eventually. So anyways, that was WrestleMania. That was the merger. Good wrestling. WrestleMania Night 2 definitely needs work on the third act. It wasn't, the match between Cody and Roman was great. Told an epic story, just like Sammy. It's just, you can tell the best story in the world. Look at the Dark Tower. If you read all 7 Dark Tower books, it's one of the greatest novel series of all time. It's just once you read the ending, you were like, I wish I didn't read this at all. That's how you feel after those 2 matches. Sammy and Roman in Montreal and Cody and Roman last night. You enjoyed it, but then at the end, you're like, I wish I didn't even watch the match. I don't give a shit. It's horrible. A horrible ending. It's like you watch a movie. If you watch a movie or a book, you read a book, and it has a bad ending, it's going to spoil the whole book movie for you. You're going to say, it was good up until about the third act, right? So there you go. Console fanboy, you are welcome, brother. Anyways, the last thing I want to talk about really quickly, I know I'm going over tonight. Really sorry about that, but there was some really exciting news I wanted to talk about today. I don't fully understand this, but like Zen Pinball have been doing this thing called the Pinball Show, when all of a sudden they did this thing today called Pinball Bites. And it wasn't something I'd ever seen before, but these are 2 of the developers over in their home office. They got a theater and magic cab. I love that. So that's very, very cool. No Goofy Foot. This is a pinball channel now. It's called Michael B and his one pinball machine. Grown men do watch WWE. I don't watch it anymore. I watch the pay-per-views sometimes. I used to watch it religiously, like every day. Not anymore. Anyways, Zen Studios did this Pinball Bites, and man, did we get a pile of information. The exciting thing for all of us is Pinball FX is finally coming to Steam, and with it, it looks like we're getting cabinet mode included. Hopefully the cabinet mode works better with Pinball FX on Steam than it did on Pinball on the Epic Game Store, because I reached out to one of the best resources in the home arcade and retro gaming world, Wagner's Tech Talk, and I said, hey Wagner, I need help getting Pinball FX on the Epic Store up and running on my LP. And he said, it's not worth me investing my time in because it doesn't work. So now that it's over on Steam, hopefully this version of cabinet mode works and we can play it properly, not just in a vertical orientation on our ALPs or, virtual pinball cabinets. So I'm excited for that. So today we also got a release of a couple new games. This was, oh man, I got to go back because I missed it. It's based on a video game. What's it called? Something blah, blah, blah. Necro Dancer? I can't remember. So this is a game based off that property. Crypta the Necro Dancer Pinball. This is not a game series I'm familiar with, but they announced that. And you know what? It actually looks super cute. I love it. Moving on, we'll get to the point that I'm really, really, really excited about now. Well, not the next point. Or did I already miss the point I was excited about? Nope. Here we go. So you guys know I am a big Godzilla fan. I got the Godzilla Stern table, not just because it's the best pinball table of all time, but because it's also a series I'm into, and I just recently loved the new MonsterVerse series that's being created by, who's it, Legendary Pictures? I can't remember who's doing this, but this whole monster world revolving around Kong and Godzilla that they just did. We're getting some Zen pinball tables based around it. These actually look pretty good. Looking at the playfield, they look pretty plain right now. There's some ramps, but I'm interested to see where they go. My only complaint here on this is the kaiju or monsters are a little bit lacking for Godzilla because you immediately jump to Mecha Godzilla on the Godzilla table, and guess who the bad guy is on the Kong versus Godzilla table? It is also Mecha Godzilla. So hopefully there's more kaiju involved in these games. These are very early looks, but I found that to be a weird inclusion. Maybe it's just laziness. They were like, we already got Mecha done for Godzilla vs. Kong. Just throw them in Godzilla too. So there we go. Universal monster franchise. So new Universal tables. Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla. So very cool. I'm a Godzilla fan. I love this movie series, the new adaptation that we had in the US. It's not, Godzilla classic, but it's still pretty good ass. So we got that. And then probably the most exciting news, let me skim ahead here. Garfield. No, I'm joking. Here it comes at some point. Here we go. The next Bally Williams recreation coming to Pinball FX, the Twilight Zone, and it's even got the cool MIDI version of the Twilight Zone sound. Twilight Zone. Hey, Endangered Dog, what's happening? So this is the next Bally Williams release from Pinball FX, and man, they have just been knocking it out of the park with the Bally FX releases. Like after, Swords of Fury, I was like a little less known. I don't really know that one. We have Bride of Pinbot, Addams Family, World Cup Soccer, and now Twilight Zone. I mean, they are just absolutely kicking ass with Pinball FX. So that's the big news about Pinball FX. We're getting brand new Godzilla vs. Kong based on the, I forget the name of it, but Universal MonsterVerse series. We're getting Crypta the Necro Dancer. I don't really care about that one as much, but it does look like it's going to be fun and visually stunning. And last but not least, boom! Twilight Zone, the classic Bally Williams Midway game, coming to Pinball FX April 13th. Get it on Steam. Hopefully it works on our home cabinets and especially our ALP. So I am very, very, very excited about that. Golden Earring, Twilight Zone. Yes, Andy's Game Room knows. Awesome song. Another thing, I know I'm Canadian, and I know this is going to hurt people's feelings that also know about Canada. Stern Pinball released the making of the Rush Pinball machine today, and I watched it, and when I saw Rush Pinball first, everybody was like, you're Canadian, you gotta get it, and I was like, I don't really like Rush. So I'm sitting there watching the making of the Stern Pinball, and I started listening to the songs, and I was like, you know what? I really like Rush. So that's what I learned from watching the making of the Stern Pinball machine today. I actually really like Rush the band too, and I'm familiar with more of their songs as I thought. Another cool thing about that, if you watch that video from earlier today, the making of Rush, Stern Rush, Their creative director, if you're Canadian, you'll know. Maybe if you're American, you'll know too. If you look at the person they brought in as the creative director, Rush weren't that familiar with pinball, so they asked a friend of theirs that did know pinball to help them with it. He's actually one of the band members, if I'm not mistaken, from the Bare Naked Ladies. So a Bare Naked Ladies member collaborated with Rush, two Canadian bands, to help make the pinball. He was the creative director. So if you know Bare Naked Ladies, go check it out. Chickadee tiny, the Chinese chicken, you have a drumstick and your brain starts sticking, watching X-Files with the lights on, in la maison. I hope the Smoke Man's in this one. I don't know if I got all the words right there. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you on that sour note. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I'm sorry I went long. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully I gave you some insight on what to believe, what not to believe about Arcade1Up's lineup this year. Everything else, hope you enjoyed my little smidget of wrestling talk. I just wanted to get off my chest. And Pinball FX coming April 13th to Steam. Hopefully we can finally play these on our ALPs properly, and Wagner gets a damn video out to show us how to do it. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful night. Gallagher Guy had a super chat I missed. Before I go, I gotta get that one. Sorry, Gallagher Guy. Let me go back. I gotta find it. Where is it? Gallagher Guy. Tell me where it is. Oh, there we go. My dude, Takam, we love this. $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Gallagher Guy. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the super chat. Thank you for reminding me so I didn't miss it. That put 2 and 2 together on that tune. Thanks, Michael B. There, perfect. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful night. Thanks for hanging out with me. One thing I do want to mention before I go. My wife was asking me, she said, what are you going to talk about tonight? And I was like, I'm going to talk about Arcade1Up's rumored lineup for 2023 Fact or Fiction. She said, you know what you should do your show about? About how awesome your wife is. So, I do want to say, my wife is awesome, so I can check that off the notebook for tonight. My show was about my wife being awesome, just like she said. Anyways, have a great night, everybody. Mwah! We'll see you next Monday for Chill and Chat with Michael B.